Goviolus is a Kuigdeg Popper Hein Kesha 3. So we're given a function minus x squared plus 12x minus 27. We're told to complete the table below. All we have to do is put the x values into the function to find the y values. So I'm just going to go through it with 1, and it's going to be the same for all the others. And they've already done it for 3, 4, and 7, so obviously we're starting off with 5. We have the f of x, so we need to find the f of 5. So we get minus 25 plus 60 minus 27, which is equal to 8. So just be careful of little things like this. Often causes errors. It's not going to be the same as minus 5 squared to give us plus 25. So it's minus 5 squared. So just using brackets to avoid those little things. So we're going to get 8 for 5. When we do the same thing, we're going to get 9, y value corresponding to 6, 5, and 0. So we also just want to make a little note here that 3, 0 and 9, 0, they're going to be the 2 points of intersection of the y-axis for this graph. So we'll need that for the next part. So we're told for the next part to use table 1 and the trapezoidal rule to find the approximate area of the region bounded by the graph of f and the x-axis. So we're going to be using 0 or 3, 0 and 9, 0 as our starting point and finishing point, and all the other y values are values in between. So we're going to write down the formula that we need to use. The approximate area is equal to h over 2 multiplied by the first height, the last height, twice the height in between. So I'm just going to write out the values that we have. The interval, because the spaces in between the points is equal to 1, h is going to be equal to 1. And then our y values, our first one is equal to 0, second one is equal to 5, so we're just getting these from the table. And our last height is equal to 0. So I'm just going to quickly do a sketch to make sure you understand where I'm getting these from, or how do I know that they're the y values and h values and so on. So we know that because we have minus x squared as our function, it's going to look like a frown. We know that it crosses over at 3, 0 and 9, 0. So we want to find the area underneath. So the intervals that we have are equal to 1 because that's how we have the x values. And then for all of those x values, we now have y values. So for example, our first one is 4, 5. So that means I know that the first height is equal to 5. Our second one is 5, 8. So that's why I know my second height we're taking as 8. And the same then for all the other points. So using these values, we're going to have 1 over 2, 0 plus 0, plus 2 multiplied by 5, plus 8 plus 9 plus 8 plus 5. And that's going to simplify to give us 35 square units. So even though we don't have a diagram, we know the starting and finishing points. Therefore, using the y values for the heights, we know all of the heights, we know the interval, and we just use the formula. So we'll just make a note of that here. So for the next part, we're asked to find the integral of the f of x in between the interval of 9 and 3. So we need to integrate. So just first of all writing out what we're integrating. When we integrate, we're going to get minus x cubed over 3, so add 1 onto the power, divide by the new power. 12x squared divided by 2 minus 27x. We know that usually with integration we also add a c on at the end, but because we have an interval, we're going to end up having plus c for the first. When we substitute in 9, we're going to end up subtracting minus c, so it cancels. So we don't have to include it when we have the interval. So I'm just going to simplify. And now I'm going to substitute in 9 to the first bracket, and now substituting in 3. So when we simplify, we're going to get minus 243 plus 486 minus 243 minus 9 plus 54 minus 81. That's just going to give us 36 square units. So for the last part of this question, it says to use your answers above to find the percentage error in your approximation of the area, correct to one decimal place. So we estimated that the area was 35. We found that the actual area was 36. That means we just have an error of 1. So to find our percentage error, it's our error over the actual value multiplied by 100 over 1. That gives us 2.8%. Again, they've asked for one decimal place, to make sure that we round to one decimal place.